All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by Revolt Podcast Network. I'm your host, Wise Grisette, RPN Community Manager, and you guessed it, podcast enthusiast. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Revolt Podcast Network, and follow us on Twitter at Revolt Podcast. Now, y'all know I hate starting the show begging, but I got to start already, y'all. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast and give us a 5-star rating. We will really appreciate it. Thank you kindly. Now, on today's episode, I'm joined by Stacy Ike, host of Human2Human Podcast. Stacy, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Wise.
Of course. So talk to us a little bit about who you are and your podcast.
Well, first, I am a spiritual being having human experience. That's on a basic level. But in this reality, I am from Houston, Texas. I am Nigerian. I come from a very big family. I'm the oldest of 5. And I kind of built a lot of my career in Los Angeles and learned a lot about just like the media and journalism and what parts I love, what parts I didn't love. I studied journalism in school. And when I got into the industry, I was like, okay, I don't want to do news anymore. I thought I wanted to do news. It was a bit too sad for me. So I was like, you know what, let me see what could happen in entertainment. You know, could I be able to bring my spin on things in entertainment? And it's been a crazy run of just like exploring and discovering and learning how to build intimacy with people through, you know, conversation and build trust and really just, I mean, the podcast is called Human2Human. That's a collection of many versions of myself, many, you know, dreams I have of just like how we as human beings connect and how we get to know each other and how we love on each other and how we learn from each other. And that's kind of where the podcast was even born from. In 2019, that's when the idea came. And in 2020, it started becoming actualized. And so, yeah, it's been a journey. Before that, I did TV and I did a lot of stuff on red carpets and that was all great, but it all definitely led up to a long form place where I could really build like, and just, I could honor vulnerability and I could honor curiosity and I could honor community and connection. And those would be the pillars of what we do on the show. And that is what it's become. And so it's been a great run. We're still running, we're still going and building. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and like how the podcast came about.
Yes. Well, thank you for definitely sharing that. We're going to learn a lot more about you on this episode for sure, starting with this segment right here. So we're going to start with some tunes. Let's let the people know a little bit about your musical taste. I heard you from H-Town. I heard you got a little Nigerian. Not even a little. You are Nigerian, you know. So please, like, we have this playlist on Spotify called B-Sides Track of the Week, where you can find all of your guests' favorite songs at any point in time. Now, B-side tracks to me are songs that aren't really that popular, but they're just as good or even better than A-side tracks. So please, Stacy, share with us today one B-side track that really gets you going.
Just one? Can I do 2?
You could do 2. You could definitely do 2.
Okay, let me do 2, please. Thank you. Okay, so these 2 artists, I'm actually pretty close to them and I've enjoyed that my friends and my family are artists that I like vibe to, I jam to and get my day going to. So there is a song called Trust Yourself by Son of Sonics. And it's such a, like, Trust Yourself is the title, right? But I love the song. It definitely like gets me hyped. It encourages me. So that's 1. And then 2 is there's an artist called Jadera and she is fantastic. She has this just beautiful breadth of like, you know, music taste and she can like kind of go between genres. And she has a song called Bless Me. And those 2 songs are on the playlist.
All right, y'all. Listen, you heard it here first. You got to go over to Spotify. It's exclusively only on Spotify. Go to Spotify, search for B-Sides Track of the Week so you can find the 2 songs that Stacey just mentioned to get you going. Get you going. All right. So now we know a little bit about you in front of the mic. Now let's talk about the person behind the mic. And when I say that, what I mean is, you know, like we know who you are as a podcaster. We know that you have like a background in communication, but we definitely want to learn more about like Stacy the person, Stacy the girl from H-Town, Stacy the first-gen American. I've heard just from what you were talking about so far that like you have gone through like stages of just identifying things that you got to recognize this might not be for me and pivoted. Like I'm also first-gen, firstborn. So, you know, I know the pressures of having that on your back as well too. So yeah, so please like We can start there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like I've been on a very intentional healing journey since 2020. That's also why the
Mm-hmm.
podcast was so intimate for me because it was kind of my place to pour out and to figure out and to learn and to ask all these questions because I just was like, I have all these feelings and all these thoughts, and I'm trying to like figure it out, right? And so with now it's been 5 years of that. I mean, healing never stops, and it's not like there's an end point. But I definitely feel like just where I am now, I am so much more comfortable and confident with like having boundaries. That took me a really long time to figure out because people were just talking about it like it was no big deal. Like, just get some boundaries. I'm like, guys, but like, we don't talk about how painful it is to put your boundaries in place, have those conversations with
Mm-hmm.
family or friends or yourself or whatever, that wherever the boundaries are having to, come to pass, or what
Mm-hmm.
what it is to figure them out or to stumble or whatever. So I had to really stumble through figuring out what boundaries did I want for myself, what was protecting my peace. Because again, we just talk, we just have all these captions and quotes about these things, but let's get to the details of what it takes. It's a lot of like every time I said no, I was emotional about it. I was very like, oh shoot, I said
Mm-hmm.
no. Like, now am I going to be disliked? Am I, did I disappoint somebody? Like, I had to really learn to disappoint
Mm-hmm.
comfortable in that and feel okay with that and know that that's not a reflection of my like being loved. Like, that was what my healing journey, was about. And figuring out how to stop comparing myself or to stop feeling like because somebody was a different part of their journey that needs to affect my journey. Like, constantly having to remind myself and recognize when it was coming up so I could deal with it honestly, and just be like, "Oh, okay, so this is what you're afraid of. Okay, why are you afraid?" Like, really try to interrogate some of these more, I wouldn't say negative, but some of these just feelings that I'm like, do I want to carry this? Does this serve me? Does this create the highest version of me? Do I feel confident? Do I feel, because confident is built. It's not like you just have it. You have to build it
Mm-hmm.
and learn it through it and rediscover it. And that was my journey with confidence as well. So just like all of those things that I just mentioned, they led to being a more confident person or a more confident version of myself. But I wanted it to also be like, I wanted the foundation to be really honest and vulnerable and kind,
Mm-hmm.
teaching myself self-compassion. Like, I remember a couple years ago, I did this like a very intentional thing where I walked around that day. I said, okay, I'm gonna be kind to myself the entire day. Like, I'm not gonna criticize myself at all today. I'm just gonna see how it is. And it was crazy how I could tell that it was happening because I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to criticizing myself or saying, no, like, you should have done that better. You should have known better. And I was trying to really get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how can you should have your way through life? Like, that's not, I do not want to live like that. I don't want to always be, mean to myself. If I'm not going to treat myself with the utmost kindness, I can't expect anybody else to do that. So I really wanted to like figure out that part of my journey, the self compassion part. And that was such an intentional day, and I still work on it, but that was such a pivotal moment for me of, like, recognizing what even my body felt like just to be completely kind and, like, nurturing, and, "Oh, it's okay. Oh, okay, you didn't know. Cool. Love that you did that. Let me
Mm-hmm.
just," like, all day really talking to myself like that. It was such a beautiful experience that I was like, "Okay, if this is actually the path you wanna go, this other path where you're just like, you know, whatever we learn while we're growing up to protect ourselves, we have to investigate it and be willing to find out, is this going to keep me going? Does this take me to the next stage of myself? Do I still need this to keep going? Or is this just a defense mechanism? This is just a coping mechanism. This is just something I did at a certain time. Am I willing to let it go? And that was like, that's been a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the past 4 years. Am I willing to let it go?
Yeah. Do you feel like the podcast, through the conversation that you had on the podcast, helped you heal? And if so, like, what was there any particular episode that someone should listen to that can just come to mind right now that really helped you along that path?
Oh, that's such a good question. So, yeah, definitely. The answer is yes to the podcast healing. Absolutely. It was, I ask a lot of questions, but I'm not afraid to either have people ask me questions back or to, be honest and just transparent when they do or whatever. Like, I knew that going in. I was like, if you're going to do this and title it Human to Human, the other human is you. So you need to be ready to explore
Mm-hmm.
through wherever the conversation goes. Right. And so, yes, it's been so healing and it continues to be a healing space for me. One conversation in particular, I would say Alex L. Man, her and I had a beautiful conversation about boundaries and about like self-compassion, and probably a lot of what I was talking about, I did feel a lot of the pivots in that conversation as well. Another episode is with Kier Gaines. He's a licensed therapist. We've had 2 different conversations on the podcast. He's probably the only guest I've had repeating, and he was phenomenal. We had such a beautiful conversation about friendship, about when to let them go, when to update them, just the process of friendship. Those are really intimate relationships that I think that we're talking about it way more now, but there's intimacy in friendships. Like, these are people who sometimes know you longer than your partners, the same amount. They've seen different versions of you, whatever it is. And I really wanted to be very intentional about my friendships and how I nurture them, and when do they change, and when they're changing, what do we need to be talking about or asking each other. So we had a great conversation about that. And lastly, I would say the episode with Kelly Rowland, we talked a lot about self-trust, and that was so incredible for her and I to both really understand each other in that way and talk through the process of trusting yourself and learning how to fall and get back up, and just being comfortable and willing to do that in front of people. So those are 3 episodes that come to mind. I hope you guys get a chance to check them out. They're all very different perspectives, but extremely healing for sure.
Thank you for sharing that, first and foremost. I know we'll be talking about you. It's Behind the Mic with Stacy, but you got a new season coming up. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's still a reflection of just where I am and what I am discovering right now. The season is actually curated to be only Black men this season. We're only featuring Black men this season. It started with me just really loving and learning through the relationship I was building with my youngest brother and watching him go through high school. I kind of was in the same city with him. We were both in Houston. I'd lived in LA for so long that I'd missed so much of his like middle school and things like that. So because of the pandemic, I was in Houston, and I was like, okay, I get to be with my boys, but he's also like a lot younger than me. And so we have a 15-year gap, and just understanding and learning each other and building this like dope friendship with somebody who's 15 years younger than you. And I'm also 15 years older than him. So I'm thinking, I want him to see me as a person who, yes, I'm his eldest sister, but I'm also like want to be a support system to him. So just watching his emotional intelligence grow, his leadership grow, his confidence grow, it really started stirring up things in me. And then I was traveling a lot over the past 2 years and ended up interviewing 3 Black men in a row. And that's how we decided to build a season. I was like, I'm really curious about the lived experience of a Black man, and I'd like to explore that. I'd love to ask deeper questions about it and really, get into a conversation just about that specific lived experience. So now we have a full season of 10 guests where you will be hearing stories about love and career and doubt and identity and parenting and all of it. And it's a phenomenal season. I'm so excited. And we end it with a conversation with my brother, which is so fun. And it's great. It's been such a joy putting this season together. It's definitely brought out a lot of questions. I mean, I hope it brings out for everybody, because we're all, even if we're, male, female, whatever, we're all still on this planet having a similar human experience, whether we realize it or not. So there are parts of our experience that intersect. And that's what I wanted to discover on the show. So season comes out in 2 weeks, February 12th, and get excited.
Yes, I cannot wait. Okay. Well, y'all, on the other side of this break, we're kicking it into overdrive with our rapid fire game right after this. I've always wanted to have the opportunity to talk to each of you individually, and guess what? Now I can, thanks to Fanlist. You can now visit fanlist.com/podcast with an S and leave us a voicemail. Share your thoughts, your favorite moments, and even shout out a host that inspires you. Who knows? You might even hear your voice on the podcast. So visit fanlist.com/podcast with an S to get started. I'm looking forward to hearing from y'all. All right, y'all, and we are back. Thanks for sticking around. Now, we're kicking it into overdrive with a rapid fire round of overrated or underrated. Stacy, are you ready?
I'm nervous, but yeah, let's do it.
All right, y'all, we're starting in 3, 2, 1. Overrated or underrated? Cryptocurrency.
Probably underrated.
Plant-based food brands.
Overrated.
Okay, work from home culture.
Underrated.
Dating apps.
I don't know the answer to that one. Underrated or overrated? I mean, underrated because I think that they work. You don't care, okay? Like you're not asking about it. No. Like, I can't put no thought behind it. It's just one word. Okay, go ahead.
We are all done. Stacey said, dating apps, them is irrelevant to me, please.
I
You're
can't
not even
tell
on
because I'm like,
those.
they work for some people. So it's like, if they're working, cool. Like, getting people together, like we need ways to get people together because there's so many apps that are combating to that and combative to that. So I'm like,
Yeah. Aside from that, before we end this episode, what's one thing you'd want people to know about you that they can't get from listening to the podcast?
the truth is you can get a lot listening to the podcast because I'll be just wearing my heart on my sleeve right there. But shame is the way that society uses you to hold yourself back from yourself. And you need to be willing to put that down to experience the highest version of yourself. It exists. It's here. Your fairy tale exists. But literally society, and I didn't say universe, there's a difference. The blessings of the universe are real. And then society, which is run by people, man has their own experience and their own flaws. And those flaws sometimes, and a lot of times, get interweaved with the human experience we're all having with ourselves. And so I want people to know, like, I that's how this podcast came about. Like, I was really struggling with things that I was just like, I don't know, that all this lack of knowledge and understanding and information, and I don't know this and I don't know that. And that brought a lot of shame. I felt like I was behind the 8 ball in some way, which was just really unfair to my personal human experience. And I'm just sharing that because it's something I want people to know, whether you can get on the podcast or not. It's like, it's all I think about. It's what keeps me up at night. It's what makes me keep going, keep doing this, wanting to share the message that like our highest selves exist. And then something else you should know, that probably in 10 years, I'm going to move to Bali. So probably a little less than that. If God has it, I will move there less of that. That is one of my favorite places in the world. And I could totally see myself living there. So I'll put that out there too.
Okay, well, Stacey, let me tell you something. Please leave a space on the couch for me from time to time. I never been to Bali, but I'm trying to be out there. I'm trying to be out there.
Feel it.
Oh my God. That's definitely good to know. And, I'm someone that definitely believes in the universe's guidance. So you speaking on like separating the universe and like its wants and needs and everything from society and man's wants and needs and expectations got my brain going. So thank you for that. And I'm sure you did the same thing to the audience. So please let them know where they can find you on social media to connect with you.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode and for being here. You guys can check me out on Instagram at OneTakeStace, OneTakestace. This is Stacy Ike Substack. The Substack is called Somewhere in Between. And I've really enjoyed long form content and writing again. So please come hang out with me there. And then obviously the podcast, Human2Human, with the number 2, not the word 2. We're on all streaming platforms. We're on Revolt as well. So please come hit us up over there. And yeah, I can't wait to continue to connect.
Well, Stacy, thank you for joining us today. And audience members, thank you for listening to another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by Revolt Podcast Network. I'm your host, Wise Rosette. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, formerly known as X, at The Real Wise, WIZE, because I'm special like that. Behind the Mic, powered by Revolt Podcast Network, is hosted by me, Wise Grisette. Special thanks to the Indie Creative Network and Storytime Studios for editing and producing this podcast.